Hello! If you didn't see my first video of this project, don't worry, you can watch it after this one if you would like to. But in short, this is a Doom-like game that I'm working on. Last time I didn't have a name for this game yet, but now I have, and it is Mistakes Were Made. Please consider subscribing and liking the video, and without further ado, let's get on the video. So I started by modeling this very simple enemy. The plan was to make the enemies into some demon creatures like in Doom that this project is based on. But I had problems using Blender. Probably because I have no idea what I'm doing. Which led me into just messing around with the different tools until I accidentally made this. And this was where I got the whole idea for the game and for its lore. And yes, this game is about to have lore. I don't want to spoil the story and lore of this game, and I really can't because I'm still working on it. But I still want to give you guys some general idea. So it's about this guy who makes a big mistake in his life. Thus the name Mistakes Were Made. And so when he dies, he is in this between life and death place, and he can move on when he has conquered all of his mistakes. And these enemies are the other mistakes that he has made in his life and conquered them. And you play as the mistake that he hasn't conquered yet. The story is about to be pretty dark probably because I love horror. And I think this game is about to have two game modes. The story and infinite arena. After making the enemy model, I needed to animate the enemies. So I found out that you can generate bones for your characters using Mixamo. Bones are used for making the animations look natural. So if Mixamo couldn't generate bones for this character, I would need to do them myself. And I was surprised that even with this character, it created a function in bones. I also downloaded some animations from Mixamo, and now it was time to implement them. This was actually my first time using Mixamo, so it took me some time to figure everything out, but then I got to work. So, after a lot of trial and error, if statements, booleans, and questioning life choices, I got the animations done. So we have walking, attacking, injured, and dead animations. So one problem that I'm having is that the enemies are so close to each other when they're following the player. So I wanted to make them avoid each other. My idea was to check the distance to the nearest fellow enemy, and if they were too close they would move away from each other. But I couldn't make it work, which wasted a lot of my time. But I did make this teleport thing. The idea is that every enemy has a small chance of teleporting a random distance, so they wouldn't cramp up in a pile. But I don't think that's a very fun idea to continue, so I removed it later on. If you guys have any ideas how I could make this, you can leave it down in the comments. And while you're down there, consider liking and subscribing. So these enemies are just the base enemies that walk up to the player and does damage. I have the animation, but the player can't take damage yet. So I started with the health bar. Making the health bar script was easy enough, but I had some problems making the enemy communicate with the health bar. But luckily for me, the fix was just one line of code. So how the attack code works is that when the player is in attack range, it stops moving and plays the attack animation. And midway through the animation, it checks if the player is still in attack range, and if so, it deals damage to the player. So last time I did this arena, but now when I have a clearer idea of what type of game this is going to be, I decided to scratch that and make this dreamy looking sky island. I also downloaded this cool looking skybox and there we go. Now the map has started to look the way I wanted it to be. So last time I made this gun model, but now I wanted to make it the same style as the enemies. And there we go. I don't know if it's better this way, but it does go with the style of the game. And as I said in the last devlog, I really need to make the shooting particles better. Plus I wanted to add some particles when you shoot the ground or an enemy. So I tried with a lot of different styles of shooting particles, but I ended up with this. It's still not the best, but it's a lot better than whatever this is. So the way that these collision particles work is that with the raycast we check where we shot and if it hits an enemy, and if so, it spawns the enemy collision particles. And if it hits something else, it spawns the ground hit particles. And after 2 seconds the particle object gets destroyed. So that was the video. I hope you liked it, and if you're still here, please consider subscribing. And that is all for now. Bye bye!